Welcome to the third video of Caro's hieroglyphs. The last two videos were about the beginnings of deciphering the hieroglyphs by using the Rosetta Stone and about the royal titulary of a pharaoh consisting of 5 names: Horus name, 2 ladies' name, golden Horus name, throne name and birth name. If you haven't seen it yet, I recommend watching both films first. In this video, I would like to first translate with you the birth name of Tutankhamun. By deciphering the names Cleopatra and Ptolemaios from the first video, we already have some one-consonant characters at hand, but we also know that the purely Egyptian names were not only written with simple letters. Let's look at the cartouche of Tutankhamun's proper name, meaning birth name. Here the line of the cartouche is at the bottom, so we read from top to bottom. The hieroglyphs itself look to the left, recognizable by the quail chick. That means that within the reading direction from top to bottom, we need to read from left to right, always facing the character's direction. We do recognize the T represented by a flat loaf. The quail chick will probably be a weak consonant, a U, because it's framed by the 2 flat loaves, and this combination forms already one syllable of the name, Tut. Now we are stumbling upon a peculiarity of Egyptian writing. In order to follow our established reading direction, the 2 T's would have to be positioned differently. However, since the quail chick's head and its tail feathers are sort of in the way, the Egyptians made an exception and swapped the positions of the flat loaves. But let's see what's above the quail chick. We already know the reed leaf. The ancient Egyptian spelling of the god Amun is Imen. Now Tutankhamun includes Amun. Perfect. One would assume that the board game would be an M and the water line would be an N. But it's not quite that simple. The board game signifies the 2-consonant sign men. The water line is actually an N and serves to support the 2-consonant sign men. Therefore, here N serves as a so-called phonetic complement. In the case of multi-consonant characters, meaning 2, 3 or 4 consonant characters, individual components can be written as single consonant characters. This is very useful because it sometimes helps you when you don't remember the multi-consonant symbol, but you know some single consonants which it contains. So, we have deciphered the god Imen, but he is situated above Tut. Actually, he should be at the bottom, Tutankhamun. However, a god as part of a name was always written above or before the rest of the name, for reasons of worship. Still, the syllable Ankh is missing. Ankh means life, and there's actually a sign for it that is often used as a symbol and that the gods also hold in their hands. Some scientists assume that the Christian cross has its origins in the Ankh sign. Tut means image. The translation of Tutankhamun is the living image of Amun. To complete the picture of Tutankhamun's birth name, I would like to mention so-called epithets, meaning name additions which are often added to royal names. The epithets for Tutankhamun are the hieroglyphs for Heka, ruler, Yunu, the city of Yunu, Shemai, south, ruler of the southern Yunu. This refers to the ancient Egyptian city of Heliopolis. Now let's look at the throne name, which in inscriptions is often placed next to the birth name without specifying the remaining 3 names. The sun disk represents the sun god Ra, who, we remember from the last video, was to be mentioned in the throne name. The scarab is a 3-consonant sign with the sounds Cheper. Cheper means, among other things, shape. The 3 dashes are plural strokes, so it means shapes or figures. You will recognize the basket from the explanation of the two ladies' name from the video about the royal titulary. Here, the cobra and the vulture are each placed on this hieroglyph, which stands for Neb, meaning Lord. The name of the throne is Neb Cheperu Ra, Lord of Figures, a Ra. It is obvious that Ra, for reasons of worship, is placed at the top. But why is it that Neb slipped to the bottom? Probably because as a whole, and especially vertically encarved, the name was better written with a basket at the bottom. There's a signet ring of Tutankhamun that expresses the throne name, and it is clear that the overall picture of the name looks more harmonious if the basket is at the bottom. In Tutankhamun's wonderful burial treasure, there was a small throne that the young king had probably already used at the beginning of his term in office, when he was 9 years old. Cartouches showing throne names and proper names can be seen on the armrest and elsewhere. But let's take a closer look. While the throne name Neb Cheperu Ra can be seen on the left armrest, and we can see the birth name Tutankhamun in other places, on the right side of the armrest we find a cartouche with these hieroglyphs. With what we have already learned, we can recognize Iten and a solar disk. Iten was the god Aten in the form of a sun disk, whom Tutankhamun's father, Akhenaten, worshipped as virtually the one god, unlike the kings and priests before Akhenaten's time, who worshipped Amun as one of several high gods. Amun was integrated into a multitude of deities, each of which embodied different aspects. Akhenaten had the temples of Amun shut down. In his new-built city, Amarna, he built then Aten temples, which, unlike the temples of Amun, with their central dark rooms for the cult statue, the so-called Holy of Holies, these new temples had no roofs, so that Aten, the visible sun disk, filled all corners of the temple. Akhenaten named his son Tutankhaten, the living image of Aten. Tutankhaten kept this name as a 9-year-old when he was enthroned. And it was only 2 years later, at the age of 11, that he changed his birth name to Tutankhamun, because he reversed his father's profound changes, abolished Aten as the sole god, and reopened the temples of Amun. By the way, the sun disk in Tutankhaten's name has a determinative function, meaning that it is a symbol that stands at the end of a word, in this case Aten, and indicates that Aten is the god in the form of the visible sun disk. Determinatives themselves are not pronounced. They are only hint givers. The hieroglyph for Ankh has two phonetic complements here, the waterline for N and the animal placenta for Ch. This means that they are not pronounced separately because they are already contained in the word Ankh. The next video will be about symbols and magical signs among the hieroglyphs.